I love showing everybody all this stuff. I like, you know, when you mess up, you learn, right?
Yeah.
And when there's silly stuff, it's fun. You know, it doesn't bother me.
That's right. Okay, so this aircraft and mechanical flaps, they're located here. We have a 15 degree, 30 degree, and 50.
Okay.
They're underneath the wing. It's a split wing design.
Okay.
So split wing flap. And that 50 degree is really soft field landings.
Heavy traffic, Q920 from established on a downwind 431 full stop.
Yeah, so that's Mr. Eugene. Okay, so we are straight down the runway, and I'm just gonna make sure everything else is secure, checking my canopy is closed and locked. My trim is set to the middle, which is the controls here.
Right.
Up and down. Everything looks good, camera's rolling, everything's locked. I'm secure, you're secure in our harnesses.
Yes.
Good to go. I'm just gonna close my little eyeball here so it doesn't freeze us. And let's get this show on the road.
And Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee on the roll 31.
So I'm full power on this guy right now. Keeping that nose off the ground a little bit like a wheelie. And there we go. Keeping in the ground effect for a second here. Watching that airspeed.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice climb on this little guy. Getting rid of my 15 degrees of flaps.
Yeah.
Flaps are cleaned up and back to aggressive climb. Climbing at 1,100 feet per minute. So in most other aircrafts, you'd probably be having a heart attack when you see an RPM like that.
I was going to say, that's pretty high, eh?
So that's about the highest I like to see it. If I pitch forward, you'll notice that it will come up significantly, and that's why I like to climb this thing at 65.
Okay.
That keeps just enough load on that propeller.
Q920 entering final 431 full stop.
I'll just keep this climb happening a little bit more.
Approaching altitude.
Any particular direction you're going to want to start going in?
Well, just Wasaga, Collingwood or so.
Sure.
Yeah. The first time I went with Eugene, actually, I told him Wasaga, Collingwood, and he says, everybody wants to go to Toronto. Why do you want to go to Wasaga? And I said, that's where I grew up, man.
That's it.
I recognize everything, you know?
So now that I'm at altitude, I'm just going to pitch forward. I'm going to keep 2,000 here. Might as well. It's nice to see the ground at this altitude.
Yeah.
And reduce my power. I'll show you the way this controller works in case you're not familiar with the vernier. Okay, so let me just see. There's two ways this throttle control works. We can either, for quick throttle response, squeeze the ball in, which unlocks the control,
right.
Push forward and back, just like a very basic throttle, or we can do micro adjustment like a stereo dial. To the right is throttling up, to the left is throttling down.
Right on.
99%. There's that 4,600 I was talking to, 47, up to 5,000. It's a little choppy right now, so maybe 46 to 47. Get our altitude back to 2,000 would be nice. So I'm just going to switch radio stations and put it on Collingwood station.
Okay.
There we are. So,
Collingwood traffic, Gulf Gulf Uniform Mike, we're currently 2,200, descending to 2,000 feet, just over the east end of Wasaga Beach. We'll be following the shoreline back at 2,000 feet towards Collingwood Airport for a full stop.
Alright, so he's right near us.
Yeah.
2,000 feet.
East end of Wasaga.
Yeah, east end, so he's, okay, so you know what, let's, I think we can get a few more feet out of this guy. I just want to get you to an altitude and then just let you turn it over to you. You know what, let's go behind him first.
Okay.
Let him go that way so he's not our problem. That way you can just have fun flying the aircraft, not worry about this guy. if you flew with Eugene before, was it in his Technam?
I think it was a little blue thing.
It might have been a SportStar like this, low wing?
I think so, yeah. It was definitely low wing. Yeah, I think it was maybe 3-4 years ago I went with them now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Traffic, Fox Romeo, Fox Fox, we're just east of the field, approaching for mid left hand downwind 134, full stop.
So here we are at 2,500.
Okay.
If you want to gradually get your hands on these controls, feet up on them, and I will to transfer control to you. I'd recommend keeping your left hand on there so you can have your right hand for the throttle.
Okay.
It takes a little bit to get used to, but that's why I'm here, right? So, you have control?
I have control. Okay, well, my folks' place is just somewhere over here.
Oh, nice. You'll notice how agile this aircraft is. What did you say you normally fly?
The Cessna 172.
Okay. Yeah, you'll see the difference. Oh, just on visibility alone, right?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that it's wonderful.
So there's that other guy right there.
Oh, yeah. Pretty clear against the water, that's for sure.
So just to remind you, this is your hour. You can do with it whatever you like. Like I said, I'm here to make sure that we survive.
Yeah.
And we don't damage the aircraft. Other than that, if there's a direction you want, don't just go where you want.
Okay, I appreciate that.
If you want, I can do radio communications. If you want, you're welcome to do them. It's up to you.
I'll say that was the one thing that I always had trouble remembering properly was the...
That's common.
Midland traffic, Cessna 172 Golf Charlie Zulu Kilo is 5 miles to the southwest at 2,500 feet, Farlane Lake, and then Georgia Bay next, southeastbound.
Huh. Okay, we're at the same altitude.
Collingwood traffic, Evektor Kilo, clearing the zone 5 miles to the
Where is she?
southeast of the field towards the Barry area.
We got to be very damn close to each other. Did you want to go towards Collingwood then?
Oh, we can, absolutely. I was just trying to swoop over my parents' house was all.
Okay. All right, I'm going to keep an eye out for her because she said she's 5 miles southwest of Midland Airport, which is directly in front of us.
Right.
Now that's maybe at this point 9 miles away, but I couldn't tell where she said she was going.
Approaching altitude.
Thank you.
Collingwood traffic, Golf Uniform Mike. We're currently 5 miles northeast of the field. We're going to cross it overhead, join mid-left downwind for runway 31, full stop. Village traffic, Fox Romeo, Fox Fox, Journey Base, 34, full stop.
If you find you need to trim the aircraft, just a tap on either the down or the up is all it usually takes.
Yes?
It's very touchy. If you were to hold it down for a second, that trim will move. So you just want to tap, tap, tap.
Which one is concession 11 here?
That's a damn good question. I'm good with my towns up here. The road names, I never grew up in the area. I grew up south of Barrie.
Okay.
So that's where I lack.
They're just along the beach line here, so see if we can maybe turn to the coast a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Leaving altitude.
It's okay, I just changed her altitude.
Okay.
I really wish I knew where that woman was heading. Going to make a radio announcement to this traffic in the area and just let them know we're going to fly the coast here.
Okay.
And Midland area traffic, SportStar India Juliet Kilo Yankee is about a mile east of Wasaga Beach, traveling westbound along the shoreline at 2,500 en route to Collingwood. Collingwood traffic, this Gulf Gulf Uniform Mike, we're 2 miles east of the field, we'll be crossing overhead at 1,700 feet, joining mid-left downwind for runway 31, full stop.
So the cool thing about this aircraft, its glide ratio is 11.5 to 1.
That's what I was going to ask you, but I couldn't remember how to ask the question.
Yeah, but so in an engine failure situation, which knock on wood I've never had in this plane,
Yeah.
but we practice for it all the time, this thing is awesome, how far you get. I forget what's the 172 at now? It's like 7 or something, 7 miles or?
Oh, I couldn't. Like I said, it's been so long since I had to.
Yeah.
You know, I should tell them just to look up.
Yeah, you could if you want.
Yeah. No, they're all inside. I don't want to go outside.
Oh yeah, what I was saying to you before, we have a classic 6-pack, or we can switch that view to the synthetic vision, which is the tape.
The tape?
Yes. So we could be looking at, let me see if I can switch yours without reaching over there.
Collingwood traffic, Gulf Gulf Uniform Mike is currently overhead the field, 1,700 feet, to join mid-left downwind for 31.
Yeah, this one doesn't let me do layout on this side. I would have to reach over and do it on yours.
I can see yours.
Okay, so 6-pack off. Boom.
Oh yeah, it did switch.
So some people prefer to fly like that. A lot of the new schools with the G1000s are teaching with that.
Yeah.
I've read countless articles on this, and they were saying they don't recommend teaching people on this because you lose that visual reference of the circle we're so familiar with in everyday life, especially on the cars and shit like that.
Yeah.
They actually did it.
Collingwood Uniform, this is Hotel Oscar. Ramp Chief, about 2,200 feet, inbound to Collingwood. About 8 minutes out. Collingwood traffic, Gulf Uniform Mike is mid-left downwind for runway 31, full stop.
They actually did a study back in the 80s. Cadillac came out with a car, a model of car for a few years where it had just a digital display.
Yeah.
For your speed, your speedometer. And they found that the people were getting tickets at a ridiculous rate in this car because they found out psychologically because they lost that reference to the circle that was programmed into our brains to see that circle of a speedometer.
Huh.
Because they're only looking at digits, it's hard to put it in perspective of how fast you're going when you're reading a digit.
Yeah.
So, same reason why in flight training, I don't train people on that until they're solo, they already got their license and they want to get proficient in that. Then I'll switch it over because I understand where that could go wrong. You lose that reference of where the needle is, right? You just don't see it. And in brain fart moments, and you know that can happen in flying, the last thing you want to do is to try to overcome something that you're having a blockout in your brain on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Approaching altitude.
Collingwood traffic, Gulf Uniform Mike, turning final for runway 31, full stop.
Leaving altitude.
Collingwood Uniform, Hotel Oscar, north to northeast, inbound.
Yeah. this is what I needed.
It's nice to shake rust off, huh?
Oh yeah.
Now that last guy, did he say he's 5 miles northeast inbound?
Last one I heard, he was over the field for Collingwood.
Yeah, there was a guy that came on after that. There was kind of very tough to hear.
Foxtrot, Echo Zulu Hotel, holding short of 13.
So Collingwood Airport is directly in front of us. It's very hard to see, but it is there. You can almost see there's two forests there with a cut down the center.
Okay, yeah.
About 3 nautical miles away, maybe 2.5. So there tends to always be a lot of traffic in this area. Okay. I find the safest way to do it, as long as we stay on this side of the shore, we're usually out of everybody's radar there.
Gotcha. Just gonna go follow the mountains around, come back around?
Sure, whatever you'd like.
Okay.
Like I said, it's your hour, do what you want with it.
Oh, no doubt, man. I just don't want to run too far into your next time.
Oh, no, don't worry.
Okay.
I'm making a short day today.
Nice. It is Sunday.
It is. And I got a 1.5-month-year-old newborn at home.
Oh, yeah?
Enjoying all that stuff right now.
Yeah, my son, he's 10.5 now, 10.5 months, I should say.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a little wonder. Is he your first kid, or?
First kid, yeah.
Yeah, right on. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
40.
40, first kid, right on. I got to 30, and then I had my first kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have, would have, could have. It would have been nice to kind of do it a little earlier, but hey.
Oh, that's, yeah. It's here now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your boy or a girl?
Boy.
Right on.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun so far.
That's good.
Sleeps for a maximum of 1.5 hours.
Oh man, when we first had Archer, I guess his face was too chubby that he couldn't deal with his eyelids or his tear ducts.
Calling traffic, Echoes Hotel, backtracking 3-1.
Oh geez.
So we
Calling traffic, Golf Golf Uniform, Mike's down and clear.
So we had to put drops in his eyes. The doctor says, "Oh yeah, you have to put drops in his eyes." So we didn't go to our normal doctor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We had to put these drops in his eyes every 2 hours.
Oh no.
Oh, was that ever a nightmare for a week? For a week.
Alpha Delta Kilo is going to go along with you.
More the merrier.
Then we went to our normal doctor, and he said, "Nah, you didn't have to do that."
Indian Crime, Hotel Golf Blue Chief, 2100 feet, descending on Collingwood from the north.
Yeah, I guess it makes for an interesting chapter in life, your first kid, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Altitude. Approaching altitude.
So how long have you been doing this now?
Full time for 2 years.
Okay.
I think you were on the button there for a second. On the front of here is the trigger for the radio. 16.
Yeah.
I got the, and I didn't use it enough. But yeah, no, I went into the regular stuff like everybody else, and I was in the bar business forever and a day.
Okay.
And I decided to retire from that and do this full time because I saw that there was a bunch of schools out there that were fly-by-nights, taking advantage of people and all kinds of nonsense. And I figured, you know what, I could make some decent living doing it the right way.
Yep. So we're Zulu lining up for an intersection.
Like I was explaining to you on the phone, like and you were shocked when I was telling you about Hobbs time and where I charged. That's where I saw the other guys were really taking advantage of people, because I didn't own a plane 3 years ago. And I would go rent off different guys. And all these different people who would be doing that to me, right? So the second you say, hey, how you doing today? They'd start their clock.
Yeah.
And I'm still, you know, chewing a piece of gum, you spit it out, have a bottle of water, go start the plane, you find out a half hour went by.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? At least do it to the Hobbs.
2,000 feet, across over hill, left down 1 to 3-1.
So, you know, I just got a little silly, and I said, you know what, there's an opening in the market here for somebody to do this legit. And take away all the things that scare people away from aviation. Because it's ridiculous that people are spending $10,000 to get an ultralight license. That's ridiculous. It should be $5 grand, max, max, for ultralight. But that's just the way that some of these schools feel that they have to make their money, right? Just by banging off hours. And
I think it's that, but the feeling that I've gotten also over the little time that I've been in this, I should say, is it's almost like money is the proving ground to get into it, you know? And that's like, if they, I guess the guy that you rented off of somebody, and he had to pay that much money, so why wouldn't the next guy, like I made it, why wouldn't I charge that for the next guy, right?
Yeah. I'm a number cruncher, right? So I looked at buying the plane, cost of running it, factor in the fuel, factor in the insurance, all that stuff, you know, you got to actually do it by the numbers. And I know I could do it for this price and still hold my head up high, you know, that, hey, I'm doing it right. And if people don't like my service, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't get along with me, hey, I can't blame that. That's my fault. But they're never going to be able to say I took advantage of them. I was milking them for the clock. Nobody can ever accuse me of that stuff, and I'll stand proud on that, right?
No, and that's a great stance. I'll back that 100%.
It's one thing if you just don't like this style of aircraft. I take no offense to it if I don't see you again, right?
Yeah.
Hope to, but if I don't, hey, it's up to you. But the other guys are not so much that way.
Well, one thing I'll say for sure is that I do want to get my instructor rating all the way to CFI2 or...
Oh yeah.
And, but for myself personally, I would love to have one of these.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they're so damn practical. Now see your RPMs, they're just a little high. I'd bring it down 100. Maybe just 100. 5,000 is fine because it's smooth here.
Collingwood traffic, RV7 Alpha Delta Kilo, starting the area over the town of Collingwood, 2,500 northwest bound.
Get back up.
Okay, this guy is over the town of Collingwood at 2,500 northwest bound. So we are on top of each other.
Yeah.
Hey, Collingwood area traffic, this is SportStar India Juliet Kilo Yankee, also above the town of Collingwood at 2,500 northwest bound. Looking for the traffic.
Leaving altitude.
Collingwood traffic, remember Echo Charlie on the roll 31. Traffic over Collingwood Alpha Delta Kilo is now at 3,000 over the town of Collingwood northwest bound at the lakeshore.
Collingwood traffic, Central Gulf Quebec, left downwind.
And traffic in the Collingwood area, Juliet Kilo Yankee is going to maintain 2,500 traveling northwestbound and looking for the traffic.
Okay, so we should have no issues with the 500-foot separation as long as we don't climb up to 3,000.
And that traffic is at 3,100 just by the ski hills right at the lakeshore.
Wow, so
We're right here.
Isn't that amazing, huh?
Yeah.
I know people who don't fly and they come up for their first time, they're so amazed by this. They think you'd be able to see everybody, but no.
Yeah.
He's got to be right behind us.
Yeah, I would think now.
Approaching
Maybe even a
altitude.
few hundred feet behind us.
Now I probably turn around, we'll find them.
Yeah. As long as he maintains his altitude.
Charlie climbing to 1700 through 1700. We'll be turning to the southwest towards Kitchener, departing the area.
Collingwood traffic, South Gulf Quebec, turning final to 31, full stop.
Yeah, you could even get advanced ultralights now, you know, with floats, everything on them, right?
Yeah. Saw somebody training with that just around the airport there. They had floats on, yeah. Where are they landing for that, or?
A lot of them will go to Orr Lake or Lake Simcoe. You know, the northern end of Lake Simcoe, there's some comp spots.
Okay.
And these made by Evektor even come with ballistic chutes in them.
Really?
So anything goes really wrong, pow, and we're lowered down nice and easily.
That's all right. Especially over urban areas, that's pretty nice.
Yep.
Oh, I got a couple parachuters out there, a couple skydivers.
That's strange, yeah.
I don't know that. I didn't even know there was anything over here for that.
I wonder if they're launching off the top of this.
Really? Oh man, I gotta meet those guys.
Like, because there's no paradrop over here.
I didn't think so.
No, there isn't. They're coming off the top of this.
Collingwood traffic, November Uniform Hotels 185. We're 5 to the east inbound for landing. Gonna come overhead, join left downwind to 31 Collingwood.
You know what I think? They're powered parachutes.
I was gonna say they look pretty thick. Yeah, this looks like somebody's got a pack on.
Yep, they do.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta beat those guys then.
3,000 feet.
Oh my god.
Isn't it cool?
Just to see the snow, I love snowboarding.
Yeah.
Just to watch them from up here, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, this is neat things us pilots do.
Oh, absolutely. I've been dying to, like, just really, really get into it, but I want to try to get all the money first so I can just get it done. And that's the most difficult part for sure.
That is the hardest thing, right? Yeah, had I have done it over again, like I said, I started doing this when I was 16. I should have waited until I was 18, built up a bit of a bank account, and then hit it all at once.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was like, one day here a month, and then another month. Now it's nice to just bang them all off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get your practice, your confidence, and confidence is key of being a pilot, right?
Yeah.
You need the confidence.
The one thing that I'll say, I'm a very confident person in general, but I don't approach things in that manner.
Yeah.
I try to make sure I know everything and everything, but biggest thing for me so far has been the with.
Yeah.
Right? Is if you know, you get somebody frustrated for a second and then you feel like you've done terrible.
Yeah.
But I found that was just that one instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is terrible to say, but it happens.
The human relationship is a huge thing, right? When it comes to instructor-student relationship, right?
Absolutely.
Romeo Delta radio check, please.
And if instructor doesn't understand that this is the only reason why we do this is to create an environment for learning and mistakes to happen, then they shouldn't be an instructor, right?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Like, that's the whole purpose of me riding with you, is just to make sure you don't do anything dangerous that's going to kill us.
Yeah.
Now, that being the case, not that it's going to kill us, your RPMs have crept up again because we have a tailwind, so you're going to want to back that off a little bit.
Yeah, I really feel that. Hey?
Uniform Hotels coming overhead, join left downwind to 31.
We're getting a little bit of a push, too, from like a little bit of this turbulence over the mountain.
Yeah.
A little bit of thermals coming through with this nice bright sun. I'm surprised they managed to keep such a good pace with that big thaw we had.
Yeah, you know what? So am I. That was pretty incredible.
Left base for 3-1.
But I'd have to pass the hill, like Snow Valley and all that, and they're just pumping snow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. So you obviously have your ear way closer to this than I ever could. Is there actually such a thing as a pilot shortage?
There is.
Yeah.
There is. There really is. U.S. and Canada especially.
Really?
Yeah. You know what it is? It's pricing of getting into the industry.
Yep.
I firmly believe it has to do with what I was talking about earlier about how some of these schools milk people, and they're milking good people out of it.
Yeah.
Just imagine, turn the clock back to when you were 15, 16. you know, driver's license age when pilots can start getting trained. How the heck are you going to afford $230 an hour when some dude's wasting half of your time on the ground?
Yeah.
When you should be up flying for that hour that you're paying for, right?
Yeah.
Collingwood traffic, uniform hotels, clearly active.
The Americans, not as much of a shortage within the U.S. because they seem to, in commercial aviation, they seem to be able to absorb a lot of people out of the military.
All right. Yeah.
Where Canada, our military is so much smaller and it's not such a big part of the culture. We don't turn out a lot of pilots that are out there looking for a job.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember trying to get into this too, being so disheartened by everybody's comments.
Yeah.
I went to, see, for me, money, once I make the money and pay for it, I don't care that this is a poor job.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I tried checking out the different routes, and I went to a recruiter's office, and I said, hey man, I want to get some information about being a pilot. And he said, if I had, a dime for every kid that came through that door and said he wanted to be a pilot.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, okay, thanks for hyping it up for me, man.
Yeah.
And he said, well, here's the thing. I'm just trying to be real to you so you understand. And he slapped down the paper. He said, this is the requirements for the military pilot. And he goes,
crazy.
And he says, yeah, it's crazy. And he says, and if you're not within the top 95th percentile, you'll never touch the yoke ever. I said, so what's the point? And he goes, well, exactly. So I just wanted to give you the truth.
Yeah.
So you can make your right decision. I said, okay, well, I appreciate that. You know, he wasn't giving me attitude or anything. So
that's right.
But yeah, I mean, eventually, I would love to try to fly a big plane. I would.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It'd be a lot of great, and I was telling my dad, it's like, I don't need to be a captain 8 years. Flying a plane's flying a plane. Your duties might change.
Yeah.
But ultimately, so maybe I'll try it for a bit. But with the kid and all that, the mechanic route, trying to teach myself would be a nice route.
That's right. Yeah.
It's difficult to talk about this stuff without people that really understand it.
Of course.
My wife is like, yeah, we get it. You like flying. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't like flying.
That's right. That's right. You got that right.
Yeah. I was like, if I could do this for the rest of my life, yeah, that's not like.
We'll go for about 5 to the east to join overhead for left downwind runway 31 full stop.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, especially when you start using an aircraft to go places and do things with it.
Yeah.
It's something very exciting. You're looking forward to the next time you do it, right?
Exactly.
Collingwood traffic, Twin Star Golf Romeo Alpha Delta, backtracking runway 31.
It is so cool. Like the first time, my wife, right? Like she was never in small planes and stuff like that until me, of course.
Yeah.
And after I bought this thing, and she never thought in a million years we'd be taking it places. I said, well, Saturday, what are we doing? We're doing nothing. Let's go to Montreal for dinner. Are you kidding? I said, no, let's go.
Are you kidding?
Threw her in the plane. She was very trepidatious about this whole experience.
Yeah.
And when we got to the cafe there and having a drink in Montreal, she was like, I can't believe we didn't do this. And you own the plane now for 6 months. Like, how come we didn't do this before?
Yeah.
So now it's, anytime there's free time, we'll do it, right? So coming up ahead of us eventually is Base Borden, which we want to stay away from.
Right.
Okay,
where are we heading for to come back to Edenvale?
Well, Edenvale's that way, but we have time. If you want, we can go further south this way.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do, too, right? Like.
Oh, I like this area and coming around here.
Sure.
But I noticed that something that I had before is starting to creep back up on me, and that's getting airsick.
Okay, that's common.
Yeah. I did take my ginger gravel before I got here, but
I'll admit to you, I even get it still, and I've been flying for 25 years.
Yeah.
If I take an extensive period of time off. Yeah. So if I understand, if you want to be in the vicinity of the airport,
what I might get you to do is just take control,
sure,
and we'll start heading back there.
Sure, I have control.
Yeah, I have actually, when I was at West Lloydminster there, I did actually end up throwing up once.
Yeah.
And it was just terrible, but I start sweating. right away, and I know that's what's going to happen.
So are you feeling that way already?
Not terrible, but I'm starting to get that little sweat, and I know that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so you want me to head for the airport?
Yeah, might as well.
Consider that done. Yeah. There is a baggie if you need it. It should be in there on your left.
Okay.
That little side pocket.
I was telling the instructor out west, actually. I said, yeah, the reason why that is, as we get older, the fluid in our ears get thicker, and it's harder for us to maintain or understand our bearings. And he looked at me, he went, "I've been flying for years. That can't be true." And I was like, "All right,
it's true."
And then he looked it up, and I came the next day, and he goes, "Wow, you were right about that, eh?" And I was like, "I wasn't trying to lie to you, man."
But it is something I do know from experience. You can train it out of you. It's just no different than going to the gym and making a bigger muscle. You can make your inner ear respond to flying.
Yeah.
When I first started flying, I would get violently airsick. My first 5 hours of flight training, I remember being heartbroken. I'd come home and I've been telling my folks, I was 16 at the time, right? I'm like, I'm heartbroken. I want to fly, but I'm puking. And you're not supposed to be taking gravel when you're flight training, right?
Right.
And I remember my one instructor, he was awesome, and he's telling me, he goes, just stick with it. Stick with it, trust me, it'll go away. And at that point, I was trying to decide, is this guy just milking me for money?
Yeah.
And sure enough, hour 6 came by, much better. Hour 7 came by, I would only get sick now for 10 minutes of an hour flight.
Yeah.
And then by the time hour 10 came by, I wouldn't get sick at all in the hour flight, but you almost start feeling it. And then once you're up at hour 40 and 50, when you're doing the training close together, you can find that you can make 3-4 hours without feeling it, right? But you just train yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Like right now, I'm kind of feeling it pass a bit, but I don't want to chance it.
Yeah.
But I know, repetition.
Well, we've almost been going for 40 minutes so far. Anytime if you want to take control again, you just let me know.
Okay. How do you get your audio? Do you get your audio for these, or?
There's audio for the back one, so it's tied into this.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I see.
I got a special wire made up for it.
That's what that was for. Okay, cool.
Traffic, this is Hotel Golf Quebec, Blue Chief, backtracking 3-1 for departure.
So Edenvale is right here.
Remember Golf Lavage, just space.
4 miles in front of us.
Justin, you got lots of room.
Right, yep.
So are you telling me that you want me to go for a landing right now?
No, how much more time we have?
Well, we're at 40 minutes right now.
Okay, well.
20 more minutes. It's up to you.
Well, I'll take control.
You have control.
Yes.
So as long as we just don't go into their zone as of yet, until we're coming into land, not unless you wanted to try to do circuits, but I don't recommend you'd want to do that if you're feeling a little queasy.
No, plus when I start focusing back on my training again is when I'll start doing that kind of stuff. I think that I'll stick with you for a bit for some leisure flying and just to kind of get back into it. Yeah.
That's the key. You want to get comfortable with the aircraft. You want to feel it. It's got to become part of you.
Yep.
Beat it up, throw it around, do what you got to do.
Collingwood traffic, Twin Star Golf runway Alpha Delta, left-hand turn out, clear the zone, 2,500 climbing to 5,000 IFR London.
Turned out to be a real nice day.
Yes, I'm very, very glad about that, that's for sure.
Another really cool thing about this aircraft you probably noticed, although it's an ultralight, we have a lot of shoulder room in here.
Yeah,
You know, like, I think it's a half difference from the 172, half inch narrower, but 3 inches wider than a 150. So,
which is funny because I was like a little trepidatious, I suppose, about the space when we were talking about ultralights.
yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm a pretty big guy, and even the 172s, you know, out west they got a couple big guys, and we were kind of,
Yeah.
you know.
So once you get your elbow up on this top here, there's a lot of room around here.
Yeah. How was it flying around Toronto?
Bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, I kind of envisioned it as being such.
You know what the problem is? It's not so much the flying, it's the radio.
No.
The radio communications gets out of control sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because you're being handed off three different towers when you come into Toronto. You have to navigate your way through 3 different radio controllers. And where it gets a bit much for the pilot is you have to listen to everybody's communication, not just your own.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they could just talk directly to you, but they don't. So every time you're always on the ball waiting for them to call out your call letters.
Right.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid flights into Toronto as much as possible just for that reason. Because when it's not fun, it's just not fun, right? I don't know how to describe it.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there.
I like the sights, it's cool to look around, but then always in the back of your mind is engine failure over a city really sucks.
Yeah. And no one's gonna stop on the 400.
400 Non-Valley Parkway, imagine that.
Oh
No, you're gonna put it down in the cemetery.
no. Yeah.
That's your best chance in the city, right?
Yeah.
And you know you're gonna be ramming into granite slabs. So it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But, you know, also, you know, honestly, too, the radio controllers can be pretty good with you. Generally, when they sense that you're a bit nervous, they'll treat you with kid gloves.
Okay.
Which is really cool. I know a lot of people are worried because back in the old days, some of these controllers didn't want novices in their airspace, and they would give you a hard time and intimidate people out of there.
Yeah.
I think they're really taking a different approach nowadays with aviation, thankfully.
Kira, information from crossing to 608 on Delta.
Coming up on the big metropolis of Barrie.
You know, it's funny, I was gonna say, so what are those over there? And then I realized that's the Barrie Water Tower, and I was like, oh, those are the apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, like you said, the not wanting novices in your airspace. Well, how do you perpetuate the industry if you're going to, you know, do something like that?
I think that's part of the reason also with the pilot shortage, right? Like there's been some systemic failures all the way along aviation, especially in Canada, for the past 30 years.
Yeah.
If I would critique it, right? That's just my critique of it. I remember getting into it at a young age of 16 too, where people would look down their nose at you, right? You're a 20-year-old pilot, they'd be looking at you like, hey, this guy doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
And that shit works on the industry, right? Be welcoming.
Heavy traffic, Kira, uniform backtracking to correction 31, takeoff.
We could learn a lot off of the Americans, especially recently when it comes to aviation, because they have a really cool aviation culture.
Yeah.
Right? If you go into any of these in the U.S., there's always a party going on there. There's something happening. Because you're a pilot, you're welcome, right? And here, it's a little bit different. They'll look at, hey, but come on, at the end of the day, sometimes it's nice to sit. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But you're just going to drive people away. This should be fun. This should be exciting, right?
I drive truck right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same in the sense that there's a culture.
Yeah.
If you're a driver, you kind of, you know, you're polite to another driver, and then you try to work out whatever's going on, right? The logistics of it.
Yeah.
You know, you go home, you have a drink at the end of the day. Now you don't, drink, but you have, have a drink, you know. And that's that, right? So it's kind of a similar, but like you said, the differences in Canada are a bit staggering.
Yeah. Like we used to have that. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
If you talk to some of the old timers, man, most of them are drunks. You know. But that used to be the thing, right? You go for a flight, you know, at the end of the day, everybody would meet up in the sort of like the clubhouse and tie one on and have some shots and have a good meal and be at it the next day. But now, I'm telling you, man, you crack open a beer after the end of the day, people look at you with a crooked eye in Canada, in aviation, and I think that kind of stuff's got to stop.
Yeah.
The hydro corridor, right underneath us.
My brother was talking about this the other day, and I can't remember why.
Indian traffic Kilo and Stayner for Aerodrome 31 straight departure towards Wasaga Beach, climbing to 2500.
Mr. Eugene. Do you think you're getting used to the stick as opposed to a yoke?
Oh, I suppose. I played video games a lot as a kid.
Okay.
So put a controller in front of me and I can figure it out pretty quick. Yeah. That's the one good thing about, like I love operating vehicles. When I was out west, I operated all the vehicles I possibly could.
Yeah.
Because they all got controls and all that kind of stuff. And like I say, I'm just kind of natural when it comes to different control setups.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously the plane's a little bit more complicated than just the controls, right?
No, but
so,
you know, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I see it, I usually ask people that same question, are they a gamer or not? And I can tell the difference, right?
Yeah.
When somebody flies.
Now what I've heard is that if you're a flight sim operator, normally an instructor can tell right away because you're too choppy and too bumpy, or because you're used to a digital plane kind of thing.
That's true, yeah.
Now I've got a whole setup at home. I got 3 monitors and my yoke and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when the first time I turned it on and you don't have any feedback, it's just kind of like,
yeah.
Okay.
You can definitely get really good on the sims when it comes to airspeed respecting of an airspeed, how your climbs should work, your climbs and descents should work. Yeah. You get really, and that's where I think they're very valuable. And especially if you start getting planning, right? Like if you master it there, you're saving a fortune than paying some instructor to do it with you.
Yeah.
And then when you come up and fly the real plane, that's where you're doing that hand-eye movement coordination, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let you have control again here.
I have control.
This coming back on me a little bit here.
Yeah, it's getting a little violent over here too.
Yeah.
Not sure why, so I'm gonna put us in the direction of the airport.
Yeah.
Strange that these thermals are kicking us right here. I'm deliberately climbing to get us some smoother air, hopefully, on our way back.
Okay.
I feel your pain, man. I've been there a million times.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, don't worry if you have to do something. I don't, it's a very common thing. Oh, that's not fun when it's doing that. I'm trying to be as respectful as I can. It's just the air's not cooperating.
Oh, it's okay. I knew what I was getting myself into.
I certainly didn't expect this kind of turbulence today, though. Getting a combination hit, man, with that nice bright sun coming through and a little bit of wind.
Yep.
See, this should put us high enough out of the thermal area. 3,000 feet is decent.
And Edenvale traffic, SportStar India Juliet Kilo Yankee is 6 miles east of the field, inbound for landing. Currently at 3,000 feet, going to descend to circuit height, cross overhead the field, then join them in left downwind for 3-1.
Just kissing the bottom of the clouds here, but it is smoother, isn't it?
Yeah, that's nice.
As long as it doesn't get too violent when we sink down to circuit height there. Our target airport is right in front of us there, about 3 miles. Going to descend to circuit height, cross overhead that field, and make a left downwind turn. At any time, if you are feeling like you want back on the controls, let me know. If not, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh, yes, sir.
Approaching altitude.
Think we're going to make it?
Oh yeah,
You're doing
absolutely.
okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I feel a bit better. It just came and went again.
The whole time in the back of my head, I was like trying to be as calm and cool as I can and silent, just let you get over it, right?
Oh yeah, no, we're good. We're good now.
Let's hope, because we always get in this, there's usually a little blender over top of this airport for thermals, and I think we're starting to hit it right now. Get pretty nasty, especially in the summer, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's strange, once you get in the zone, within 3 miles of this airport, it's like you're in a jacuzzi in the plane.
Huh.
Nobody on the runway, looks good. Windsock is still relatively the same. Here comes the blender.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees overhead the field, to join them in left downwind, 3-1 full stop.
now I'm just carrying through like around 4,600 RPM. Seems to be decent enough, keeping our speed at around 80 knots. Don't need to be screaming away in the circuit. Don't want to be fighting this thing wanting to climb by being any faster on the RPMs. Yeah, some thermals from that sun, man.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee, turning mid-left downwind, 31.
Our approach speed in this aircraft is 65. Our stall speed is 38. Okay. Usually 30 degrees of flaps is sufficient. We have a 50 option like I was discussing before. I rarely have ever used it.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee, turning left to base, 31, full stop.
And just going to reach down here.
Edenvale traffic, Papa Delta Whiskey, Cessna 177. We're going to cross over onto Delta, short of runway 31. We'll do a run-up on the taxiway.
Leaving altitude.
Oh, that's interesting. There's some interesting air right here, man. Not bad, it's just strange. Yeah.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee is final, 31, full stop.
Yeah, the computer was estimating the winds there. We had a gust there of 32 knots. I was looking on the bottom left corner of that screen. Now we're at 12 knots headwind, which is decent. But I went up to 32 there on that little blender we hit. He just wants to fly today. Back on the ground, safe and sound, man. Must feel a little better to be on the ground again, huh?
Oh, no. Didn't change my feeling at all.
Okay.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee down and clear active 31 on Delta to the ramp.
So hopefully you enjoyed this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll hold our position right here as you go by. Thank you.
Edenvale traffic, it's Mooney Golf Kilo Romeo Papa. We're 6 miles to the north, 2500. We'll be crossing midfield to join a left downwind 31 in about 5 minutes.
That was an exciting base to final there with all that nonsense going on.
That was pretty choppy.
Yeah. That's the Borden Flying Club's airplane.
And Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee, crossing 08.